Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to Barbara Zamora-Appel. Barbara, you may begin.
Thank you for joining us today for this presentation about the Census Business Builder version 5.0. My name is Barbara Zamora-Appel, and I am a program analyst at the U.S. Census Bureau. Today, I will show you the latest and greatest improvements to CBB. I will also give you a quick overview of the economic census. Please submit your questions via the chat that my colleagues on the line will be able to answer, and they will monitor throughout the event. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to send us an email at the conclusion of this event today. Thank you. So the Census Business Builder, as many of you know, has gone through evolution since our first prototype in 2015. What I will show you today, it is a work that has happened throughout the last 5 years to lead it to what it is now, which is one system versus two. Throughout the evolution of Census Business Builder, we have followed very simple principles. The guiding principles are easy to use. That includes having plain language, tooltips, and an overall easy user experience. It has had customer focus from its beginning. We have received a lot of feedback throughout all of these years. And today, if you would like to see something that you don't see, your feedback will be greatly appreciated. That feedback is what has created this tool, and it has made it look the way it looks. It has the data that you have asked for. It has the features that you have asked for. The next guiding principle is to provide access to census data and more. When we first began with this tool in 2015, it only had Census Bureau data. Soon after, we realized that there was a great benefit into combining data from other government agencies, such as the U.S. Census of Agriculture. We recently, in the last few years, added data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and we have had private sector data from ESRI. We have leveraged existing census investments. Other offices within the Census Bureau use the same platform, and it made sense to leverage those relationships. It is using the application programming interface, which has made it a lot easier to have when you no longer have to download massive amounts of data, and instead you can view the numbers that you're looking for very fast. It is using the latest technology. Census Business Builder was the first tool to make it into the cloud at the Census Bureau. And best of all, it is provided for free. But not really free, you already paid for it. So here's a link of where you can find the Census Business Builder. I highly encourage you to go to the census.gov page because there's a lot of information about the tool. There are handouts on how to use the tool and a lot more information about the data that is in this tool. Just a quick review of where we were. When we first started, we started with two versions, the Small Business Edition, which is this one, and the Regional Analyst Edition, which is this one. Both interfaces required separate links or URLs for you to use them. Both interfaces had different ways to get to the map, but overall, the experience was very similar. In 5.0, we've done away with having two separate interfaces into one. And this is what I will show you today. You will first begin by landing on cbb.census.gov, and it will give you an option to take a tour. The reason why we added a tour is so that you can familiarize yourself with what's in it. It has 42 slides, which you can access at your convenience. Once you're done with that, you can just exit out and start using the tool. If you want to bypass the tour, you can start with adding your geography. I always recommend that you start at the county level because that is the level that will provide to you the most data. Here's some of the key features. As you see, the overall interface looks different, and that's by design. It has the latest 5.0 compliance requirements. It has been made easier to see, easier to use, and I'm going to now go over the main features. The dashboard. It still has the same components that you're used to in a cleaner way. We have compressed a little bit of the numbers, but when you click over them, when I go live, you can see the entirety of the number. We've added the region view into one interface. As you recall, the Regional Analyst Edition was the way that you could use it, but now this is where we go. And as I go further into the presentation, I'll explain to you how to use it and different ways in which you can use it. Geographic levels. We have added, just in the last year, metro level. And you can view and review the data at the state, metro, county, city, town, zip code, and tract. As in the other versions, you can get the geography you want by typing it or by clicking on this little geo code or by clicking on the map. The industry cluster. This is where you're able to build your own industry cluster based on what's available to you in your area. You can customize it. The map variables options, we separated them. We have, this map is a bivariate mapping, which means that you can see two variables at the same time. So you first click on the first one, which right now has total population. And next you can add a second variable, which will display here and throughout the map with little icons. We have the filter menu. You can filter up to 3 variables at once, and that will help you in narrowing down the data that you're looking to see on the map. The map buttons. You have the download the data, you have the base maps, you have the different ways in which you can view the data or the map. And the map legend. We made some changes here as well with the map configuration, and we have still this little icon right here will still take you to a PDF flyer, which will give you more information as to what each of the things within this are. We have 2 ways in which you can get a report. Here in the dashboard for a single geography, or here in the region view with multiple geographies once you have selected your region or created your region. The reports have also been updated to have a crisper view. They are still customizable. They are interactive. So you can make the changes that you would like within the map. So you can customize them to the views that you would like to share, embed, or print. These reports can be done for a single geography or multiple geographies, or for a single industry or multiple industries, if you're using either the region builder and or the industry cluster. So the region builder, to expand a little bit more on that, you have 3 ways in which you can build a region. You can build a region of 2 or more geographies of the same type. That means 2 counties or 2 or 3 city towns. It's 2 or more, so multiple. Option 2 is to build a region of 2 or more geographies of different types. So that's when you have counties and city towns. And the option 3 is to use pre-built regions, which we just added in mid-2022. The data sources come from multiple programs at the Census Bureau. We have the demographic, socioeconomic, and housing data from the American Community Survey. We have the business data from the county business patterns, non-employer statistics, the economic census, and the survey of business owners. We have imports and exports data from the International Trade Program. We have workforce data from the quarterly workforce indicators. Building permits data from the Building Permit Survey. We have this feature, which has been part of CBB since the beginning, and that is the ability for you to upload your own data. And there's a flyer that I created for you to follow the instructions on how to do that. We also have the consumer spending data from ESRI, the agriculture data from the Census of Agriculture, or USDA NAS, and the employment and related data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. With that, I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions.
Hi, Barbara, this is Nadal Gibran. I'm assisting with the monitoring the chat for questions. It looks like we have one question from one of our customers. Is it possible to include education information in the reports?
If the data is available, it will be in the report. So let me actually go live and show you what we have. But any data that is not currently in CBB, it could be found, if it's available at the Census Bureau, in data.census.gov. So let me go live and see what we have. So let me start by going actually to census.gov. There's a few ways in which you can get to Census Business Builder. One is to put the URL cbb.census.gov. Another way is to go through a couple of ways within the Census Bureau. We have CBB in the Data Equity Tools page, Census Business Builder. We have it in the Data Tools and Apps page. You can scroll down a little, and there it is. And you can actually type it as a search within census.gov. This is the page that we created for Census Business Builder. In this page, you will find information about what's in it, the link to it, what's new, handouts. I can just click on this and show you one of the handouts. These are the handouts that you can download and share with your colleagues, friends, customers. And it gives you an overview of what it is that you will find in this. You also have other help and frequently asked questions. And we also have a page for known issues. In case you find something and you don't know what it is, you can find it here. Now, it just so happens that sometimes things break. And we really appreciate it when we hear back from our customers that something is not working. And we are speedy at trying to fix it. So now that you've seen the Census.gov page, here we go to Census Business Builder. As I mentioned earlier, you can take a tour, which will take you all throughout what the tool has. And as you see here, this is similar to having a tooltip. And in fact, when you actually hover over the map, when you're not in tour, you can still get this similar description of what you will find here. So let me go back to the front, and I'm going to pick a geography. And once you pick your geography, it will take you to the tool. So I'm going to give you a tour, as I did in the PowerPoint, but I'm going to go live and start clicking on these things. I'm going to try to pause after after a few of the features to give Nidal a chance to ask a question if there is one. Okay, so the dashboard has evolved in the last few years. We have, as you can see, everything has tooltips. So you can hover over any of these items and it will tell you what it is, or it will expand the data if it's not viewable very well. So let's start here. When you first come to the tool, it will give you the total population number. That is the default, as are all of this. However, if you want to customize your dashboard, you can do so. Say that instead of having total population highlighted, you want the total employer establishment. You can click on the star and it will highlight that. As you make that change, all of these will also update to reflect that variable. If you want to see the homeownership rate, you can do the same thing. So it's simply highlighting what you want to see here. Now, if you decide that these variables here are not relevant to what you're looking for, you can also change it. You can change a variable by clicking on the pen, and you can go through the different categories. So I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but actually I will start here. So the default is total population. However, you can change it to whichever variable you would like. This is the information about your customers, as we call it. So it has a number of variables that have been added based on community feedback, based on what people have said, this is the right information that we would like to see. Of course, every time that we have a new release from ACS or any of the other census programs, if there are new variables or different variables, we can add them as we go. The way that Census Business Builder has evolved is based specifically on feedback. When we started, we did not have the breakdown for 21 years and over, but there were requests for adding that, especially if you want to open a bar. You want to know what the percentage of the 21 years and over are. We have always had under 5. So if you want to open a daycare, for example, you want to know where that percentage or that demographic is located. We have median age, have some other breakouts, such as breakup for Hispanic, Asian, and others. We also have socioeconomic characteristics, such as median household income, average income, percent educational attainment. So this again will help you if you're trying to open a business and you want to know, for instance, you want to open something for helping the disabled. You want to know the percent of disabled in that particular area, or people who work from home, what kinds of services can you provide? And or the breakdown. You know, we have percentage of veterans, foreign born. If you want to open a restaurant that is from Latin American cuisine, perhaps you want to know where the percent Spanish speaking at home is located. So all of these variables help you in figuring out where you potentially can open or expand a business. The housing characteristics include the number of housing units, homeownership rate, owner occupied, housing value, average housing value. So these also, as you see the data, right now it doesn't necessarily show you the picture, but once you start looking around and clicking around, you'll see this. All of the variables that are here as an option, you cannot see really all of them at the same time on the map, but all of the data available for that particular geography will be in your report. We have the business data. This is information about your other businesses. So all employer establishments. When you're looking to open or expand a business, it is important to remember that not all businesses are employers. You also have to think about the non-employers. So that is the reason why we had the non-employers. So combined, you can really assess how much competition you may have. For example, daycares. Not all of the daycares in the area, at least where I live, are big companies. A lot of them do not have employees. A lot of them are small, what we call mom and pop shops. So those will fall under the non-employers. So all non-employment firms and employers will have this. So let's see what kind of data we have down here. Minority-owned employer businesses. We have a lot of different breakouts. For non-employers, we have the revenue. We have key ratios. This is also important to see what, when you're trying to expand or even if you're trying to hire employees, what number of employees should you have, or what's the average payroll per employee? What is the population per employer? That's important. If you want to open a restaurant and you see market saturation and you see the numbers, you might think, well, maybe this is not the right place or the right location for it. If the industry that you're looking for has international trade data, this will be highlighted. We haven't actually chosen any sector, so therefore it is not right now highlighted. We have businesses quarterly. This is the number of establishments. We have different levels and they are showcased. So you can see the latest data that we have available will be within the parentheses. We have workforce data. And again, all of the data that we have in this tool is updated based on when the data was released. So rest assured that if there is a new release at the Census Bureau, for instance, within 3 months, we should have it. CBB is updated 4 times a year. So the census, the ACS data that was released in early December will be in CBB in our next release in March. We also have building permits data. This is the number of building permits that are taken out. And one thing to know is that this is not directly related to the industry that you're picking. So this is separate. So this is for the geography that you're looking for, not necessarily for the industry that you have chosen. The consumer spending data is the private sector data that I mentioned earlier. We have continuously added more variables based on consumer feedback. So what you see here is the data that has been collected and aggregated by Esri, which is a private sector company, to showcase the total consumer spending per household. And we do have a lot of breakouts. For instance, for alcoholic beverages, we have consume at home versus consume away from home, and the breakdown by beer and wine. And we have expenditures per household on healthcare, on housing, home improvements. So this gives you a glimpse as to what people or how much people are spending on different things. So if you're thinking about opening a business that deals with building improvements, home improvements, you will see here that you have that information. Some of the other data that I did not mention is we do have age of homes. So if you're looking to have a roofing business, seeing what the average age of a home is might be important in how you do your business or how do you do your outreach. We also have a way in which you can submit your variables. One of the great things about Census is that we strive to we protect data and privacy and confidentiality. So therefore, none of the data that you see in any of our tools have point data, meaning you can never know that you have a particular business in a particular address. We do not provide that. But if you have point data, it is something you can upload using your own data during the time that you're using the tool. So there is a flyer that gives you instructions on how to do that. So here it is. It tells you how you need to format it to do just that. To note is that while you're able to see your point data as an overlay over the map, it will not become part of our report, and you will not be able to combine it. So you'll just see it as an overlay over the map, but that's about as far as it goes. So that is all about the different variables we have. And as I mentioned, you can make those changes in any of these four. So if you decide that average income is what you want to highlight, that's fine. If you decide that instead of total population, you want to see some key ratios, then that's what you will have. So you can see it's all customizable. In most of the data points that you'll see, you'll be able to see geo-ranking, time series, and geo-comparison. Sometimes that's not available, and that may be because of what geography level you're at or the industry you may be selecting, or even the variable. Okay, you can still customize the dashboard. You can either get rid of charts or not, and you can also cut away the other variables. So most of the things in Census Business Builder are customizable. So now let's go to the region view. And are there any questions in that?
Yes, we have a few questions here. We are answering them in the chat, but some questions that I think may be beneficial to discuss here could be, does CBB already incorporate the recently released 5-year 2021 ACS estimates? And if not, when can we expect to make that update?
It will be in our next release in March. We missed it. We released in December 2nd, and they released on December 7th, I think. So it was it was one of those times that which we could not. But rest assured, within 3 months, which means March. Thank you, Nidal.
Okay, and Barbara, we have one more. Is there a place where employers and non-employers are added together?
We have some key ratios, and that's about it. So let me go back here. So this is where it's combined. Average employment per employer, well, is a non-employer, or average payroll per employee. But no, we are actually working on doing some data mashups that would actually do that. But the process is ongoing, and we should have something by mid-year for sure. It does require some computations, and but for now, we just have both separate. You can just, I would say, you can do the math on that, but it is something in the plan. Thank you. Are we good, Nidal?
Yes, we're all good. We're all caught up.
Thank you. All right, so the next big change or big addition to this new combined view is the region view. So this used to be in the Regional Analyst Edition. So for those of you who've only used a Small Business Edition, this is a new thing. And when you first come into the dashboard, it actually is closed down. So you may actually miss it if you're not looking for it. So this is a region view. It is very easy to create a region, and there are a few super easy ways to do that. So I'm going to go over 3 options. The first option is to build a region with 2 geographies, 2 or more geographies of the same time. So right now I'm at the county level, and I'm actually in Fairfax County. But before I move, let me show you how easy it is to move from one to the other. So this is something that we have had since the beginning. So as I move around, you can add the different counties automatically. We used to have it in which I would click on it and then have to press OK, but now it's more dynamic. That's one way to do that. An easier way, if you have a much larger area, is to use any of these drawing tools. So the polygon, rectangle, or circle. I like the rectangle. And you can just choose the ones that you want to add, and it automatically added them right here. It's very fast. So if you want to use the circle, say that you want to do these 2 more, you can do that. And you can also change the name. Say that you want to call it the DC region. That's all you have to do. If you want to delete any of this, you just click on the X's, or you can clear if you want to clear it all. So you do finish, and that is how you build a region. Now let me move them up a little to the side and see if I can do the following. So now I want to build a region. Well, actually, let me show you the report, how it looks right now. So this report I just built has the counties that I selected. And this is the custom name that I gave it. You can still, if you want to, go through each individual county and see their own report. The information in this combined report is the combination of all those counties. So the total population is for all of these counties combined. Now, if you want to see individual ones, say, okay, of the almost 4 million people there, how many are in Montgomery County only? And they'll give you that is 1 million plus. So that's how you see that. The report contains the data of all the variables that I went through. So it's not just that you only displayed, it's not just the data displayed here. It is all of the data from all of the variables. And here's where you can customize. Click, you can do your settings. Sorry, I have other little windows here. Let me see if I can move this around. Okay, I can display the MOEs. Here they are. This is where you will see them. You can download the data as a CSV, Excel, or PDF. And for help, it will take you out to the help area if you frequently ask questions. You can move around the components of the report this way. Here we have the socioeconomic characteristics. As you can see, all of the variables that I showed you are here. If there is data at the level that you chose, then it will be displayed. If there isn't, it will be blank. So we'll find some that are blank. Housing characteristics. If you want to highlight those instead of the ones I had, you can do that. See how dynamically it displays? Here's where we have the business summary. We haven't actually created a custom cluster right now, but once I do, this will change. So this again is all employer establishments for all of those counties that I chose. So in this case, it has almost 87,000 employer establishments, population per employer. So it has all that data here. And again, you can choose to highlight whichever you want. All of these are downloadable. So here's one where the data is not available at that time in the geography that I have. So in this case, if you wanted to share this report with someone, you can actually hide it. Here we have non-employer business. We have workforce data, quarterly business, building permits. Again, this is for the overall region that we just built. This is the business totals. For those of you that are used to Small Business Edition, this is new. This used to be only in the Regional Analyst Edition, but now, because we only have one report, it is part of the experience. Here are the key ratios and business ownership. Unfortunately, we do get a lot of NAs, and it's because of the rules that we have. Sometimes it's not available at a particular geo level, and that's why. Here's the consumer spending. Just as I showed you in the map, all of the data is available. Even if you were to choose a different or a specific industry, you will still get the total list of variables from the consumer spending data. So these will not only display to you, say that you wanted to know about bars. It will not only show alcoholic beverages, it will show you everything else. Just like everything else with the Census Bureau, we do give you everything about the data. If there is data that you see that is just a little bit, but you want to explore more, we do have links back to the programs and also back to data.census.gov where needed. So that's the report. Let's go back. Now, let's say that we want to add, we started with only counties, now want to add some towns. So actually, let me first do city town. And say that I want to add these little areas. So I go back to edit region and I click on them. Yes, you click finish before, and then you change your geography level. And then you click edit again. So I'm adding these other areas that are city towns. So now you're creating a region from more than 2 types of geographies, counties and city towns. Once you're done with that, you can click finish. And your report will now include counties and the cities. So it gives you the list right here. And the data would have updated to reflect the addition of those. I think it's pretty easy. It is what we have tried to do, make it easier for the customer to be able to see this and view it. So now we've created a region with 1 type of geography and 2 types of geographies. And that is how we can easily do it. If you decide to remove any geographies, you can just clear it. This one will take care of clearing everything, and that's what we need to do right now in the demo. And it just went back to being blank. Now, say that you want to build, I want to go back to county also. Say that you want to use the pre-built regions. So for years, this is pre-pandemic times, I will go to conferences and I keep hearing people talk about hub zones from SBA. And being from Census, I was not really aware of what it was. I asked, they explained it to me, and it made sense that people who were looking to open businesses were looking sometimes at hub zones. So this last year, we're just in the 5th day of 23, but last year, we added the SBA hub zones as a pre-built region. We also added the HUD opportunity zones. These two seem to work well together. And we also have the weather forecast offices. A lot of different organizations use these. So what's good about this is that you can choose. Let's say that you want to choose an SBA hub zone. And since I'm in Virginia, the example of Virginia, let me see, go to Virginia. You can start by county. Not all counties in every state are hub zones. They're just specific ones, from what I understand. So you can choose from the ones we have here. Let's say that I want to go to Lancaster County. And once you're done with that, you can see that it already drew it. You can X out of this. You can finish. You can create a report. And this is a report created with a designated hub zone. The data will be reflected to that. See how, because I deleted all the others that I had, it has automatically updated to the newest thing that I have. Any questions?
Hi, Barbara. We have one question. It looks like one of our guests are trying to build a region of 3 counties. When she clicks finish and tries to create the region report, the system is opening a new tab and it's taking them back to the CBP homepage to start over.
Oh.
So I was wondering if you can maybe recreate this for us and just see if this is maybe an issue probably with the browser that this person's using or if it's a CBB.
Let me do just create a region right now. Let's see. Okay, finish, create report. And it opens a new tab and it displays a report. Is that just not what's happening? What's not happening?
From the chat, it looks like it's taking her to the CBP homepage in the next tab. So it may be a browser-related issue rather than a CBP.
Okay, if she would like to send us an email, I can work with her offline. It may be a browser or just go check. We do have some guidelines or some recommendations on browsers on our page. Thank you, Nidal. Any other questions?
No questions.
Okay, great. So since we're here, one more thing that I want to show is that while we're building a region, you can see that because I've not selected any particular geography individually, all of this is blank. So all I have to do is click on any of these that are in my region, and it will then display. So this is where you can still create your own individual report based on one individual county. But it creates a report here. But as you saw, you can still create a report from here to do the same thing. So there we go. So I'm going to close this out. I'm actually going to clear it out, finish. And now let's go to geography. As you saw, it's very easy to change locations. And one thing that I did not mention in the region view is that there are some unique circumstances where a region will have parts of a county within a state and 1 or 2 other geographies in a completely different state, not close by. Like say that you have a region that is comprised of 3 counties in Fairfax County or in Virginia, and you may have a county in Florida. You can build a region like that. It'll still help you, but there are very unique circumstances as to why you would do that. So you can choose what geography you want by clicking on the map. You can also type it here. Now let's say I want to go to Dade County, Georgia. It pretty easily takes me there. There's no lag, and that's because we are using the cloud. You can choose or select between all of these options. The business data will not be available at the lower levels, and that's because of privacy and confidentiality that I mentioned earlier. However, the demographic data will be available at down to the tract level. Depending on which part of the country you're at, you'll see a lot of gray, and that's because it's either a mountainous area or we have other reasons why that would be. But you can see a lot of gray. There's no data in those areas for one reason or another. And this is how you will see that. Okay, we have the metro data. So let me zoom out a little for that. Say that I want to do the Chattanooga region, or I go to Charlotte. This will be the data that will be available there at that level. There's some data that is not available at the metro region, at the metro level, I should say. And in those cases, it will be better for you to work on individual geographies. So those are the ways in which you can navigate the geographies. Okay, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. It's always better to zoom in to be able to see the lower geographies. Okay, next item is the custom industries. This is something that we added just in the last 24 months. And it is a really good way to help you if you have a number of businesses in a particular industry and or a cluster of industries. So for instance, if you want to look into a health related industry, there's a few ways in which you can do that. First, you can actually search for it and say that you want to look for dentists. You can find dentist offices or offices of dentists, depending on how you want. And as you see, the industry was added here. Now say that you also want to add a podiatrist. Office of podiatrist, you have it there. And let's say we can also add therapists. Offices of physical, occupational, so we can add that. So this is how you start building your industry cluster. You can name it the way you want it, health industry cluster. And that's it. You don't need to, there's no OK buttons, it's dynamic. Now let's say that you have, since we're in healthcare, you want to add something that is in the selected industries. Say you want to add optometrists. One thing that I'm sure you've been noticing is that things keep updated down here. What is happening is as you're building your cluster, the all employer establishments is increasing. Why? Because I keep adding more and more and more. And this is part of what we'll show in the report as well, is the combination of all of this. We're not adding geographies. What's only changing is the business data related to those industries. For those of you that have NICS codes or that are not very familiar with NICS codes or want to familiarize yourself better with them, you can actually click on this. This is a new thing that we added, and it will take you to the North American Classification System page of the Census Bureau. Here, it will give you a better definition as to what the NICS code includes, but it also gives you guidance as to where within the hierarchy it falls. If you have a particular NICS code, you could also use it here in the search. So once you're done with your cluster, you close it out and it has updated. So if we go to the report, here's your industry cluster. So I've added dentists, podiatrists, physical, occupational, and speech therapists, and optometrists. So this is the cluster that you just built. And this is the information demographic. None of this changes. What changes is the number of businesses related to that. So here they are again. The totals, the average payroll per employee. So this is the average for all of these. Just like building a region, it's easy to come in and say, you know what, I really don't like or don't want to have this one right here. You delete it and it updates. Any questions?
Yes, we have a few questions here. I will start with this one.
Okay.
On the report, does it say specifically that the area you picked is a HUD zone, HUD zone?
When you're building the region, you are picking it. So it gives you the name of the county. So let's go here. So you want to go to the Hudson. I am selecting, I'm in Maine now. And I want to do that. So it selected Aroostook County. So you finish, you go to the report. Oh, well, I already had the industry cluster, so it has it there. But it has it right here. And the data that you will get is for that particular county. So the name of the county is here. It doesn't say that it is coming from the Hubzone. That's something that we could take back for developing. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you, Barbara. And I would just like to say that we do have, it seems like this issue where CBB is not returning the reports is kind of happening for a few users here. So I would encourage everyone who's experiencing this, please look at the chat. I posted my email address, and feel free to reach out to me directly. And then we can troubleshoot this with you. And we also have a group email. It's also listed in the chat as well. And Barbara, we have another question here. Is it possible to upload a list of zip codes to create the custom region? This particular individual would like to create 10 custom regions.
So we had we are working on that. There is a few features that are not available at this time since the big change. And I don't believe that we have that as something for the March one, but I will check on that. One of the ones that is not right here anymore is the upload your shapefile. You were able to create a region with your own shapefile, but that's not something we have right now. So that's thank you for that question.
And sorry, Barbara, one more. How would one find the zip codes in a metro market?
The way that CBB works is you have to choose one geography. So if you choose a metro, it will give you the total for that metro.
Thank you. Those are all the questions for now.
So one thing I want to say about the individuals that are having some issues with CBB is we do have this newer. So let me go back. This newer release is using the most up-to-date browsers. So what I recommend is for everyone to update their browsers if you can. And let me see. Trying to find where this information is. I cannot find it. But we do have an area where it just tells you what it is that the browsers we're using are and which are the ones that you need to update to. Not sure why I'm not finding it, but it is here. Okay, Nidal, thank you for that. But we'll make sure that it is easily found on the website. Okay, so let me go back to county. So we already went over all the different categories. But since we have a primary category, the bivariate mapping option is here. This is where you actually choose your second variable, the second variable you would like to display. So say that you want to see the total non-employers. The way this works right now is it should show up in dots. Let's see where I am. I went too far up. Looks like I'm having some technical difficulties right now. No, there is. All right, so whenever you see a square, it means that the data is not available. So for that, we're going to go to the legend. So when the second variable comes up, it would actually showcase right here. So it looks like we don't have non-employer firms. So let me choose something different. All employer firms. Okay, so that one works. So this is an instance where there is not enough data, or the data has been suppressed, and therefore there will be a lot of squares. So that's what this means, not available or suppressed. So the way that the bivariate mapping currently works is we have the all employer establishments. Okay, I am definitely having technical difficulties today. There it is. So we have, all right, so now you can see the display. In my first variable, I have it as the average income, and my second variable is all employer establishments. That's because I have chosen optometrists, so it's only looking for optometrists. That's the reason why I was getting a lot of squares. So if I choose something different, let's say I do restaurants, that will change a little. So it goes up to 75. So that's how you do bivariate mapping. You're able to see the circle size indicates the number. So in our case, we're 75, so the size is that one. I think if we go to other areas which have more restaurants, the circles will be much larger. So in Guilford County, North Carolina, there's 458 employer establishments. This is a good way to actually assess if you should open a restaurant in a place, because in this county, there are 458 employer establishments. That includes restaurants. Actually, I do have optometrists, so let me remove that. So we have 933 in Raleigh and 104 in restaurants. But one thing to remember is that, yes, you see that Raleigh has a lot more, and you can start looking at, okay, so what is the average employment per employer? Well, 25 in Wake County. And if you go to Guilford, is 23. So this is how you start assessing, does it make sense to open something in a place where it's already saturated? Or is it saturated? Just because there are that many doesn't mean that there's opportunity still. Is there a way to specialize what you do? So that's how you start seeing this. Both of these options give you the exact same menu. So it's the same variables, the customers, business quarterly, and all of that. The filter menu also has the exact same menu, but it looks a little bit different because we sort of don't have enough space. But you can add up to 3 filters. So the same menu that I just showed you here is here. It's just displayed a little bit different. Consumer residence, here we go, business, all employer establishments. So you want to open a type of business. You want to know how many, in this case, we're in restaurants. So say you want to open a restaurant, but you want to see where the highest concentration of restaurants are. And you can see that the map in the background got very gray. So that means that we don't want to do that. We want to, I mean, we could. We're going to see where there are not as many. The more you do this, the more gray you'll see. That means that those areas you're eliminating from your search because you want a minimum of 4 and a maximum of 132. Now, if you want, I want to go to a place that has a lot of restaurants, at least 400, not that many places, right? So that's how you use the filter. So let's go back this way and that way. Let's add another filter. You want to see some socioeconomic characteristics because you want to open. You want to know the median household income. You want a little bit higher because you want people to come and spend your money or their money. You finish, see how much grade out there is. That means that you're narrowing down the areas. And then the last one, see, we want to do housing characteristics. You want single family detached units. For some reason, that's what you're looking for. So you want to do that. And congratulations, you narrow down the area that you think is more likely to help you succeed in your business. That's how you use the filter. And as you saw, it's the exact same variables. They're just displayed differently. At one point, we're going to increase the number of filters that we can add. I think that 6 is what we are hoping to go back to. We did have it. There were a few changes that we made during this latest edition that prevented us from doing that. So the last few things are, you can download the data. If you click here, it will download the data for the entire extent. So all the data here, it will be downloaded as an Excel, shape, or CSV. You can change your reference. You can add reference layers. We have some predefined ones. Say you want to see the school districts. Those are the school districts right there. And see that the number 1 came up. That means that you have something there. So if you sort of forget later, that's what that means. You can delete it. You can change your base maps. The light gray canvas is what we have, but different people like different views, and you can do that. If you want to see more of the map, you can use the transparency. That shows you more maps. So when you're looking at these base maps, it will give you more of what you can see underneath. Some people like the dark gray canvas. I think it's hard to see, but so those are options that are at your disposal. And then the map configuration. Many of you know we used to have a multicolor map. We have gotten out of that, but we still have options. This is the default green-blue. You can have coral, unique colors, private compliant, yellow, green, blue. You have the classing methods, 1 till equal interval, and of course natural breaks. And you have the flyer that will give you more of that information. And I believe that that is the end of the tour. Any other questions, Nidal?
No questions.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming. If you have just a few minutes, this is something very important I need to bring you up to. The economic census. The Census Bureau conducts the economic census, the official measure of the nation's businesses and economy every 5 years for years ending in 2 and 7. The economic census provides a benchmark for other economic surveys and serves as the cornerstone of the nation's economic statistics. It provides key source data for the gross domestic product, or GDP, national income and products accounts, NIPAS, and the producer price index, and other indicators of economic performance. It offers information on business locations, the workforce, and trillions of dollars of sales by product and service type. Businesses are required by law to respond, and as is with all data census collects, responses are completely confidential. The Census Bureau is required by law to keep all information that could be used to identify an individual business private and secure. The upcoming economic census will gather 2022 year-end figures on close to 8.2 million employer business establishments, with approximately 4.2 million coming from direct data collection and administrative records being used for the remainder. The results we compile will be available for all to use, free of charge, and published on the Census Bureau's website and the Census Business Builder. We include in the census employer business and a sample of smaller businesses to reduce burden on respondents. From approximately 30 million businesses, only 4 million received the economic census. Therefore, it is important to convey in our message to you that you are required to respond to the census only if you get a letter. Other reasons for not receiving the economic census are the letter was sent to the company's headquarters, the business is new, or the business is outside the scope of the census. The economic census mailout will occur on January 31st. If you receive a letter, please be sure to respond. The data we discussed earlier is based on responses to the economic surveys. Your response matters. The letters include a unique authentication code to access the survey online. We have support online and through a call center. The response deadline is March 15th. Thank you in advance for your response. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Were there any other questions, Nidal?
No questions related to CBB, no.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. I believe that this recording will be available later this month.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.